Alright guys, so I'm driving in my classic 20-year-old truck. This thing's a beauty. I know you're jealous. Anyways, you ever wonder what happened to faith and hope? Well, here's what I mean by that is not that people don't really have faith and don't have hope, but my frustration is what faith and hope have become in our understanding of it. So, for instance, when someone tells you just, you need to have more hope or have faith, or where's your faith? What we're thinking when people say that is we're trying to say good things, or we're trying to have, these thoughts. I give you an A for effort, but my frustration is that what people are saying in essence, from a lack of understanding of what those words really mean, is if you think positive, then, good things are going to happen. Don't think bad, don't think negative. But was Jesus being negative when he said, in this world you have many troubles, but then take heart, I have overcome this world? Was he being negative? You see, in this world, you're going to have many troubles. It's just a fact. But why? Because this world is not our home. And so when somebody is talking about a difficulty, they're not saying that they don't believe Luke 1:37 that for nothing is impossible for the Lord. For all things are possible with him. If you ask in his name, that he'll do it. But what they're saying is that I might have to go through this difficult time. And it's not that I don't have hope at all, but what I hope for in the situation might not happen. But my ultimate hope is that God is in the situation with me. Let me say that again. It's not that people don't have hope or don't have faith, but what's happening is they're saying what I hope for would happen in this situation may not take place. But what I ultimately have hope in is that God will be with me no matter what happens. Now, I'll be honest. On the cover of that thought, doesn't that almost not seem comforting? I mean, to our flesh. Well, boy, thanks for being with me, but I still got to go through this garbage, right? But if you really think about it, those tough situations are tough and they're not fun. I'd rather not go through it alone, right? I'd rather be in the cave with God than be in the cave alone. And I think that part of the lesson and the beauty of that, the benefit in this world, is that we see the faithfulness of God. Our spirit cries out with God. We go beyond our flesh because we're trusting in his presence. We're trusting in his word. We're trusting and hoping and having faith that he'll enable us to get through it. And if he doesn't get us through it, then he'll bring us to him. And so I don't want to discourage people from, not praying for healing or, things like that. Pray for healing. I believe that we have a God that heals. So why doesn't he heal in every situation? I love what Pastor Chip Ingram says. Absolutely brilliant. He says, sometimes God delivers you from it. You're healed. Yay! Sometimes God delivers you through it. A situation like, okay, you went through medicine and the chemo, or, you went through getting out of debt, but, money didn't just come out of nowhere. It was little by little, God helped get you through it. And then sometimes God delivers unto himself, which means you didn't get healed. You might have even went through the chemotherapy, but God says, you know what? This one's for me. I'm going to bring you home. I'm going to be a little bit selfish. I'm going to be a little bit jealous for you because we have a jealous God, and he goes, I want you home. And I could be wrong, and I've never heard anybody do this yet, but I haven't heard of, anybody getting up to heaven or even having an outer body experience and going, yeah, no, I don't want to be here. It just seems like it's kind of boring, nothing to do, kind of drab. No. So this world isn't our home. I love what Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1 says in the contemporary English version. Now, I know some of you King James people have a problem with the contemporary English version. And yeah, I understand some of that, but just hearketh untoeth meeth. You know what, actually, do you ever notice how the King James actually sounds like Sylvester the Cat? Hearketh, right? Listen to meeth. oh, Father, right? Doesn't it? It sounds, I don't know. That's just me. I don't know. My ADHD gets crazy sometimes, but here's what it says in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. Faith makes us sure of what we hope for and gives us proof of what we cannot see. Makes you sure of what you hope for and gives you proof of what you cannot see. What does that mean? That means I don't see how everything's going to turn out, but God does. And so my faith in the one and only God that sees it all and knows it all and has power for all things gives me hope that there's a chance that, he might deliver me from it. Regardless, I believe he's going to deliver me through it one way or another. But also, I trust the final outcome. That if he delivers it unto himself, or the situation might not turn out how I want, that ultimately I trust. I have faith and hope in this God. So faith gives us hope. But what we have to remember is that it's not dictating what we want. And that's, I think, why I ask, what happened to faith and hope? I think we need to get away from thinking that if I have, quote, faith in God for something, or put my hope for God in something, that it's going to turn out that way. If I just close my eyes and positive. Well, one thing I've said for 1,000 years, what if somebody slapped you in the face? And they go, why'd you do that? And they go, I just wanted to. And I guess you were not positive enough. If you would have been a little more positive, then I wouldn't have done it. I've said that for years, but it's a truth that, just because you're thinking positive or wishing or hoping for them does not dictate your will over God's. I think a true test of faith is when you submit to God's will and say, here's what I want, but I trust you. And here's the final thing I'm going to say. Here's what I've said for many years. I think where it shows, it's just another way of saying what Jesus said in the garden. When Jesus said, not my will, but your will be done. Here's what I've said many times is, pray for the best, prepare for the worst, but decide not to blame God with the outcome. Now, what does that really mean? Praying for the best means, God, I want to see this happen. This is the best thing that I think that I see. But I prepare for the worst, meaning, it's not what I wanted. Going back to that thing I talked about, our flesh wants the circumstance to be what it is, right? But decide not to blame God with the outcome. Be like, oh, God, why didn't it happen? Or I didn't have enough faith. Or God doesn't care. No. Ultimately, praying for the best has to include, this is where it transfers from your flesh and from just words and just this positive thinking to your spirit and faith and hope truly in his word and who he is, that praying for the best is trusting him in the final outcome. I'm not going to blame him. I'm going to trust him. And so I'd like to just, encourage you to think on these things. Now does God honor faith? Yeah, you bet. There's times your faith has healed you. But that doesn't mean that just because we have faith, something's always going to happen. That's a whole nother issue. But I hope this relieves some of you from some saying, oh, you didn't get healed because you didn't believe enough. Or that person died, or this happened because of that. I don't know. Start talking to God and the Father and see what Dad says. Maybe there's a greater lesson in some of these things. Maybe it's like Paul. Sometimes these things happen to show us that his grace is enough for us. Anyways, you guys, I love you, and I'm praying for you as I'm praying for me, because I know that this is a very sensitive subject. Trust me, I've preached it, I've lived it, and he's faithful. Okay? God bless, love you, have a blessed day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. No.